shot it out, but I can't hear a word you say. I'm talking loud, not saying much. I'm criticized, but how your bullets ricochet. Shoot me down, but I get up. I'm bulletproof, nothing to lose. Far away, ricochet. You take your aim. Far away. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. Cut me down, but it's you who have further to fall. Ghost town, haunted love. Raise your voice, sticks and stones may break my bones. Talking loud, not saying much. I'm bulletproof, nothing to lose. Far away, ricochet. You take your aim. Far away. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. Stone heart, machine gun, firing at the ones who run. Stone heart, those bulletproof glass. Shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am You shot it out, but I can't hear a word you say. I'm talking loud, not saying much. I'm criticized, but how your bullets ricochet. Shoot me down, but I get up. I'm bulletproof, nothing to lose. Far away, ricochet. You take your aim. Far away. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. Ricochet, you take your aim far away, far away. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. Stone heart, machine gun, firing at the ones who run. Stone heart, those bulletproof glass. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am You shout it out, but I can't hear a word you say. I'm talking loud, not saying much. I'm criticized, but how your bullets ricochet. Shoot me down, but I get up. I'm bulletproof, nothing to lose. Far away, ricochet. You take your aim. Far away. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. Cut me down, but it's you who have further to fall. Ghost town, haunted love. Raise your voice, sticks and stones may break my bones. Talking loud, not saying much. I'm bulletproof, nothing to lose. Far away, ricochet. You take your aim. Far away. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. I am titanium. You shout it out, but I can't hear a word you say. I'm talking loud, not saying much. I'm criticized, but how your bullets ricochet. Shoot me down, but I get up. I'm bulletproof, nothing to lose. Far away, ricochet. You take your aim. Far away. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. Cut me down, but it's you who have further to fall. Ghost town, haunted love. Raise your voice, sticks and stones may break my bones. Talking loud, not saying much. I'm bulletproof, nothing to lose. Far away, ricochet. You take your aim. Far away. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. Stone heart, machine gun, firing at the ones who run. Stone heart, those bulletproof glass. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am You shout it out, but I can't hear a word you say. I'm talking loud, not saying much. I'm criticized, but how your bullets ricochet. Shoot me down, but I get up. take your aim far away, far away. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. Cut me down, but it's you who have further to fall. Ghost town, haunted love. Raise your voice, sticks and stones may break my bones. Talking loud, not saying much. I'm bulletproof, nothing to lose. Far away, far away. Ricochet, you take your aim. Far away, far away. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. Stone heart, machine gun, fire like the ones who run. Stone heart, those bulletproof glass. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am You shot it out, but I can't hear a word you say. I'm talking loud, not saying much. I'm criticized, but how your bullets ricochet. Shoot me down, but I get up. I'm Ricochet, you take your aim far away, far away. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. I am titanium. Stone heart, machine gun, firing at the ones who run. Stone heart, those bulletproof glass. Shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am You shout it out, but I can't hear a word you say. I'm talking loud, not saying much. I'm criticized, but how your bullets ricochet. Shoot me down, but I get up. I'm bulletproof, nothing to lose. Far away, ricochet. You take your aim. Far away. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. Cut me down, but it's you who have further to fall. Ghost town, haunted love. Raise your voice. Sticks and stones may break my bones. Talking loud, not saying much. I'm bulletproof, nothing to lose. Far away, ricochet. You take your aim. Far away. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shout it out, but I can't hear a word you say. I'm talking loud, not saying much. I'm criticized, but how your bullets ricochet. Shoot me down, but I get up. I'm bulletproof, nothing to lose. Far away, ricochet. You take your aim. Far away. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. Cut me down, but it's you who have further to fall. Ghost town, haunted love. Raise your voice, sticks and stones may break my bones. Talking loud, not saying much. I'm bulletproof, nothing to lose. Far away, ricochet. You take your aim. Far away. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. Stone heart, machine gun, firing at the ones who run. Stone heart, those bulletproof glass. Shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am You shout it out, but I can't hear a word you say. I'm talking loud, not saying much. I'm criticized, but how your bullets ricochet. Shoot me down, but I get up. I'm bulletproof, nothing to lose. Far away, ricochet. You take your aim. Far away. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. Ricochet, you take your aim far away, far away. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. I am Stone heart, machine gun, firing at the ones who run. Stone heart, love's bulletproof glass. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am You shot it out, but I can't hear a word you say. I'm talking loud, not saying much. I'm criticized, but how your bullets ricochet. Shoot me down, but I get up. I'm nothing to lose. Far away, ricochet, you take your aim. Far away, you shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. Cut me down, but it's you who have further to fall. Ghost town, haunted love. Raise your voice, sticks and stones may break my bones. Talking loud, not saying much. I'm bulletproof, nothing to lose. Far away, ricochet, you take your aim. Far away, you shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. Stone heart, machine gun, firing at the ones who run. Stone heart, those bulletproof glass. Shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am You shout it out, but I can't hear a word you say. I'm talking loud, not saying much. I'm criticized, but how your bullets ricochet. Shoot me down, but I get up. I'm bulletproof, nothing to lose. Far away, ricochet, you take your aim. Far away, you shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shout it out, but I can't hear a word you say. I'm talking loud, not saying much. I'm criticized, but how your bullets ricochet. Shoot me down, but I get up. I'm bulletproof, nothing to lose. Far away, ricochet. You take your aim. Far away. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. Cut me down, but it's you who have further to fall. Ghost town, haunted love. Raise your voice, sticks and stones may break my bones. Talking loud, not saying much. I'm bulletproof, nothing to lose. Far away, ricochet. You take your aim. Far away. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. Stone heart, machine gun, firing at the ones who run. Stone heart, those bulletproof glass. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am You shout it out, but I can't hear a word you say. I'm talking loud, not saying much. I'm criticized, but how your bullets ricochet. Shoot me down, but I get up. I'm your voice. Sticks and stones may break my bones. Talking loud, not saying much. I'm bulletproof, nothing to lose. Far away, ricochet. You take your aim. Far away. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am Stone heart, machine gun, firing at the ones who run. Stone heart, those bulletproof glass. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium.
Oh, awesome.
just a second, but if you could, if you see here, we're going to try and leave this area open for you guys to get drinks throughout the event. We know that that's always a complaint for everybody, that they have to wait the whole time to get drinks. So you guys will not disrupt us. You can come over to the side and quietly get a drink. We are going to be filming this. It's going to be live on, I think it is live on Rumble already. So we're live on Rumble and Twitter. Yep, and so we've got a couple different angles coming in here, so again, just be mindful of that. Trying to stand in front of the camera at any point.
Yeah, there's 3 cameras.
We got 3 cameras, but yeah, trying to stand in front of them. So you guys are welcome to come and hang out and grab a drink the entire time. So before we do get started, a couple of announcements. We do have upcoming the Young Republicans National Federation is coming up, which is August 17th to 20th in. Which is going to be August 17th to the 20th. August 17th to the 20th in Dallas. If you guys are still interested in coming out with us, you guys are welcome to come out. We don't have any room in the Airbnb left, but you guys are, we really do encourage you. YRs from all over the country will be coming out to Dallas. We've got a great list of speakers already. There's going to be an election for the national chairman as well. So we do encourage you to get out to Dallas in August, get out to Dallas. I think that we have. We don't have any other events planned right now through the rest. We got the Kraken cruise, our boat cruise. We got 2 tickets left. So you guys are welcome. There's an event right to it that's been sent out to all the members and everything. So 2 tickets left. They'll probably be gone by the time I'm done speaking. So we've got that coming up at the end of July. In case you're wondering why I'm doing all the events over the last couple months, is because Brittany, our president, has been, she had a baby. She's kind of still on maternity leave. She's only about 8 weeks out or something like that. She's also taking the bar exam today, so she wanted to be here. She wanted to be part of this and everything. So if you shoot her a DM and say, hey, we missed you, we want you back and everything like that. But it's been nothing but my hot boy summer over here where we're doing new yacht events and new controversial events and all of that kind of stuff until she gets back, right? And then we're going to start doing some other events for going back to school, things like that, new other events. We are going to mix it up the rest of the year, but I am excited for tonight because we have a great guest with a great background. I think that you describe yourself as the most banned woman in the country, right? So, in the world, until Elon gave her Twitter back. Why I'm excited about having Laura here tonight is not just to talk about Trump and DeSantis. Obviously, we're going to talk about that a lot. But back, when you did get banned from everything and you were getting debanked in all of these cases around the same time that Alex Jones was, people didn't say anything, right? They really weren't trying to fight and try and help you out, but you guys were the canaries in the coal mine for what eventually would be Donald Trump getting banned from Twitter and getting debanked and all that kind of stuff. And nobody fought for you back then. I mean, I think I said a few things, but nobody cared about what I had to say in 2018 or 17, whatever it was. So I'm happy. As you might imagine, we announced this event maybe 2 months ago or so. There are probably a lot of people out there that think we should give you a platform. So I've heard that for the last couple of months, but again, usually when I hear that from Republicans or other people, then that makes me want to bring you here even more, because that means we're platforming somebody who has been deplatformed. We're supposed to stand for free speech. Even if it's something unpopular, we actually need to stand for the values that we talk about as Republicans, conservatives, and all that kind of thing. So I'm happy that we do have you here. We are going to do this kind of podcast style, where we just go back and forth. I just ask some questions, we kind of chit chat, and then we will get into an open Q&A with all of you guys. I'm only going to call on members, so if you're not a member, you've got 30 minutes to join on our website, and then I will. We'll be trying to check. But only members can ask questions to us, and then the goal. One of the things we branded this a little bit controversial, right? We endorsed Ron DeSantis last month or 2 months ago at this point, which you can
And I'm here to change your mind.
And Laura's here to change our mind. That's the whole point of having a Young Republicans Club. Most Young Republicans Clubs do, I'm not trying to throw shade at all of them, but there's only a few in the entire country that insert themselves into national politics or insert themselves into the national conversation or the local conversation. And so if we can do that from our little club here in Tampa, which is actually now the second largest in the nation, but it's still from our little club, then that's something we're going to do here. And the goal of this is not to be a debate. Our audience here, our members, so people watching at home, think that this is an all pro DeSantis, group that just only went for him. Like, this is a group that was almost split, 50-50 or so on Trump or DeSantis when we did our poll a couple months ago. And when we asked everybody where did you stand on the approval rating of Ron DeSantis as governor, as Trump as president, it was 97% for each one of them. Everybody here, for the most part, thinks that they did a great job as governor or as president. And so we've got a group here that likes both candidates a lot. I like to say, except Laura. But as far as the group goes, right, like everybody here, it's not really meant, this is not a debate between me and you about DeSantis, Trump, but we're going to have a nice conversation, and I'm going to sit up here with her, and we're going to chit-chat, and I hope that, by the end of all of this, the Trump team will be upset with me, the DeSantis team will be upset with me, everyone will be upset with me, and that means that I hopefully did a good job moderating this thing, because we got somewhere where we actually had a good conversation. So, with no, I actually do want to start this out. We can take a seat.
Yeah. And also, too,
okay.
Be sure to, if you're not following me on Twitter, just go to my Twitter now and retweet the live stream so everybody on your feed can watch it, or you can also share the live Rumble link as well. We're live on Rumble, Twitter live stream, and YouTube.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, you guys are welcome to pull out your phones.
Welcome to pull out your phones before we get started.
Yeah. So I do want to get started with this because a lot of people are not aware of your background. They're not aware of where you started, how you got yourself into politics. So let's just talk a little bit about how you got started in politics, what you were doing.
Yeah. So I went to college in Miami. I originally went to school for one semester in Massachusetts at a women's college called Mount Holyoke, and I quickly learned that a all-women's college in Massachusetts was probably like the worst decision I ever made in my life. A fire-breathing, straight woman, right? So then I transferred. I couldn't take it after one semester, so I transferred to this school called Barry University, which is a Catholic school that I was able to get an honor scholarship for. And so I immediately transferred and started living in Miami, Florida, where I was the president of the College Republicans. And really, all throughout my time in college, I worked very hard to really resurrect the College Republican Club. And I used to joke that I was not only the president, vice president, but the treasurer and secretary, right? Because I ended up kind of doing all the work. Because as you can imagine, right, because as you can imagine, right, it's always an uphill battle when you're trying to push a conservative ideology on your college campus. And I was threatened with expulsion for having events, and mind you, I had a 4.0 GPA, right? So they just hated me because of my viewpoints. And ultimately, I ended up I started working for Project Veritas my senior year of college. And I did an investigation on my own university with James O'Keefe. And when the university had threatened me, because while I was in college, I actually did some work doing voter registration with the Republican Party of Florida. And my university was like threatening to kick me out for some made-up lie, right? And I thought to myself, wow, they're so discriminatory towards Republicans. Let me come up with some crazy idea to expose my university. So I had this idea of creating an ISIS club to see if the university would be more open to me having a pro-ISIS club as opposed to my college Republican club. So I got a hidden camera and I went to the school administrator and I was like, I just feel like we're such a totalitarian country, and desperate people do desperate things. And so would it be okay if I started this club called Sympathetic Students in Support of the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria? And would it be okay if I sent student government funds overseas to ISIS? And they're like, yeah, no problem. Just change the name to Students in Support of the Middle East so nobody knows you're sending money to ISIS. And real story, it's on YouTube. And we actually replicated the same script at Cornell. And long story short, the video came out and I was expelled from college a month before graduation. I was valedictorian and I wasn't even allowed to go to my own college graduation. So I immediately then moved to New York, where I started working full-time undercover with James O'Keefe. And my first undercover assignment as a full-time undercover operative was in the Hillary Clinton campaign. So I was embedded in Iowa, New York, Arizona, New Hampshire, and Arizona and Nevada, I believe, for a portion of, well, really throughout the entire 2015-2016 election season.
And long story short, worked with Project Veritas for several years, and then I decided I wanted to start my own media company where I started making my Loomer conversation videos where I would live stream myself confronting politicians. And ultimately, I just became too effective and controversial exposing politicians, and I got banned on all social media. And like you said, I was really one of the canaries in the coal mine, and we can get into all that. But I then decided to run for Congress in 2020 down in Palm Beach, and then with the redistricting, I ran again in 2022 in the villages. And now that I have my Twitter account back, I'm back to doing a lot of my investigative reporting. For about 6 years, I'd say I was completely erased online, even though I have a very long history of doing undercover journalism.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to keep going on. That, it's one thing to get banned off social media, right? Even people on the right will make arguments, oh, it's a private company, they can ban whoever they want, this and that. But then, where my arguments, when I've written articles about this, is about when all of them as CEOs sit around as a big cabal and say, hey, we're going to not just knock you off of Twitter and Facebook and all these other places, but also PayPal and Stripe and in your bank and all these other places, and they get together and it's like, it's just all at once. So can you just talk about, I mean, it is really for people who are, actual like ISIS, terrorists in the country. Like that's really cool people that I thought growing up that would get that kind of treatment. So talk a little bit about what it was like to be banned from everything.
So it's funny that you say that because I actually wrote a book. It's in the back there. It's called Loomer: How I Became the Most Banned Woman in the World. And the concept of deplatforming was actually created and developed by the CIA and the intelligence agencies in our country as a way to deal with Islamic terrorism online. And so, in a sense, you could argue that counterterrorism tactics have now been deployed against conservative Americans and Trump supporters, and really just anybody, as we saw during the COVID lockdowns as well. All you have to do is be a dissident and go against the mainstream media narrative, and you will have these techniques that were deployed for the sake of combating jihadists, right, during the war on terror, utilized against you. And so I broke the story about Ilhan Omar marrying her brother before she was ever elected to Congress, okay? And that's really what set it all off, because in 2018, I was out in Minnesota doing all this reporting, and when I broke this story, right, people said, oh, Laura Loomer's just some crazy anti-Muslim conspiracy theorist, right? She hates Muslims. Not true. And, as a Jewish conservative woman, I did a lot of work exposing anti-Semitism, but also, too, exposing the Islamification of our country, right, under the Obama administration, and how that then turned into the Islamification of our institutions, like our federal law enforcement agencies, as well as our Congress. We have full-blown jihadists serving in Congress today. And so they banned me for a tweet in which I said, Ilhan Omar is anti-Jewish and pro-Sharia. And after that, they essentially used that as the excuse to ban me everywhere. So I was banned on Facebook, Instagram, PayPal, Venmo, GoFundMe. Chase Bank shut me down from my online bank. I'm banned on Uber, Lyft, Uber Eats. The list goes on and on. I'm banned on Teespring. I got banned on Clubhouse literally 5 minutes after I created my account. It's so hard for me sometimes to even remember all the places that I've been banned. And when I ran for Congress, I was the first candidate in United States history that was completely deplatformed on all social media. So here in the state of Florida, right, this is kind of my beef with Ron DeSantis, is where it all got started. I ran as a Republican in 2020 in District 21, which is President Trump's home district. And I actually won my primary. It was historic. A 7-way primary with 0 social media. And even after I won my primary, I was still not allowed to have Facebook or Twitter. I was the only candidate in the nation that, as an individual and my official campaign, they actually invented new policies on Facebook and Twitter to keep me off. And Ron DeSantis did nothing about this. They refused to address it, even though I was an official candidate on the ballot for the general election. And then in 2021, Ron DeSantis was like, oh, we're going to create a big tech social media censorship bill in the state of Florida, and we're going to make it illegal for companies to censor candidates running for office. Well, at the time, right, I was the only candidate in the state of Florida that this applied to, aside from Donald Trump, because in 2021, right, he was deplatformed on January 8th, 2021, right, 2 days after January 6th. And so the only two people this would have really applied to was myself and Donald Trump. So I hired a lobbyist, okay? I actually raised $40,000 to do this on my own. The Florida State Capitol was locked down at the time, despite claims that Florida is like, a free state that never had any lockdowns. And I had to literally get a lobbyist in order to have meetings with our elected officials in the state of Florida to try to influence them on amending their big tech bill to include payment processor protection as well, because it's not just your ability to have access to social media companies,
it's
right?
arguably worse, than like to not be able to have a bank and not to not have a Facebook, right?
Well, not just a bank, but payment processing, or also too Uber and Lyft. Like one example I gave when I was the only Floridian, believe it or not, who testified in front of the Florida House Appropriations Committee on this bill. The only one. And there's video of it as well. And I said, Uber and Lyft during one of the hurricanes, I forget the name of the one that was Hurricane Dorian, the one that was supposed to come through Palm Beach County, right? When I was living there, I was like, oh my God, I live in the middle of an evacuation zone. And I remember, I was like, what am I going to do when my car? It's going to flood away. And I thought to myself, oh wow, that's really interesting. Uber and Lyft then put out this announcement that they were going to be giving people in Palm Beach and evacuation zones free rides to shelters. And I'm like, wait, I'm banned. So does that mean that because I'm banned by big tech because they discriminate against me for being a conservative, that they would allow me to potentially die in a hurricane? Think about it. And so these are the issues, right? It's a life or death matter when you think about it. We saw during COVID when they said, okay, you have to socially distance and you have to be home and get your news on Facebook and Twitter. And if you go back and you look at these briefings, the sheriffs and even Ron DeSantis himself were saying, oh, follow us on Twitter and Facebook for life-saving information, when everybody thought that COVID was like the zombie apocalypse, right? And that we were all going to die before we realized that it was a flu with a 99.7% recovery rate, right? So imagine if it really was a serious outbreak, something like Ebola, okay? And you have your elected officials saying, okay, the only way you're going to get life-saving information is if you follow us on Twitter and Facebook. This is not just an issue of free speech, it's now a civil rights issue. So I had advocated and really told the Florida legislature, listen, you guys need to approach this not from a standpoint of Section 230, but from a civil rights aspect. And the civil rights laws in Florida need to be updated to include political affiliation as a protected class so that conservatives are not discriminated against. It's not a free speech issue. It's a civil rights issue. It is a human rights issue. Okay, you have Elon Musk now proclaiming that it's a digital public square, and when you decide to completely digitally exterminate somebody, and you are illegally interfering in the will of the people, when you combine all the people who live in District 21 and District 11, that's over 2 million people who had their election illegally interfered in with zero consequence whatsoever here in the state of Florida, while your governor, okay, our governor, unfortunately, is going on Fox News with Tucker Carlson saying, well, in Florida, under my leadership, it's illegal now to censor candidates. I'm walking, living, breathing proof that no big tech company has faced any consequence whatsoever for their illegal election interference and civil rights violations of Floridians.
Yeah, I think there's obviously a lot to unpack there, and I think that again, it does prove that you get banned from something, and it does. You want to run for Congress, you want to run for some sort of elected office, and it is election interference, and we're obviously seeing it a lot now when it comes to the presidential election, and obviously you have it allowed back on Twitter, and so part of this last election, I would say that you're probably one of the loudest voices for Donald Trump, who's not currently using Twitter, right? And I think that, didn't today you just send you a letter or something that thanking you for all the work you're doing and all that kind of stuff. So talk about now like what it's been like to at least have one platform back, and what has been the experience where people are starting to hear your voice for the first time in many years.
Yeah, so he did actually send me a letter today thanking me, well, just a note, right? Donald Trump doesn't use the computer, believe it or not. Everybody thinks that he's like the most online person ever because he tweets, but Donald Trump doesn't use computers. And so when you have a meeting with President Trump, like I did, it's so funny because he still uses a fax machine, believe it or not. He has his secretary print articles out, and so when you're sitting at his desk, you see it's like a mountain of just papers. And he has his secretary print out every single article, and then when he wants to reply to the person who wrote the article, he writes in big black Sharpie his note, and then they scan it and they send it back to whoever wrote it. So I get these scanned messages from Trump all the time where it's like, oh, great job, love this article, you know, keep up the great work. And so it's really nice that he takes time to do that. But, you know, like you said, I've only been back on Twitter since December, still banned everywhere else, unfortunately. And it's been a weird mixed reaction because some people are like, oh, wow, I didn't even realize you were still around, you know, because people tend to forget about you when you are digitally exterminated for like 6 years, right? And since I've been back, it's been nice in the sense that I've been able to actually utilize my journalistic talents again. They completely destroyed my livelihood because if you're a journalist like I am and you have a degree in this and you have to have social media in order to be an effective journalist in this day and age. Sometimes your job actually depends on it. And so you are either hired or not hired depending on how much of a following you have. And if any of you are in influencer marketing, and I know some of you are, and there are a lot of, you know, big social media influencers here in the state of Florida and Tampa, you know that your livelihood is directly tied to your following. So just imagine if you're trying to just push out your articles and even get a story out and you're not even allowed to have access to anything because it just gets blocked. But there's still people that don't want me online, but like I said, it's just about informing people, and I feel like I'm doing a really big public service, even though a lot of people in Florida are pissed with me for going after Ron DeSantis the way I am, because people need to have integrity. And we voted for Ron DeSantis as governor because we thought that he was going to serve a second 4-year term. And I think that it's very disingenuous and it's very deceptive for him to take, right, $200 million in donations from Trump supporters like he did. He broke fundraising records in 2022 when he ran for governor again. And then he held on to $100 million of those donations. And now he's weaponized them against Donald Trump. I mean, how many of you donated to Ron DeSantis in 2022? Yes. And how many of you voted for Donald Trump? Do you like the fact that your donation money is going to be going towards attack ads on Donald Trump? No. Right, so it's not okay, it's not acceptable, and the fact that he also has weaponized and abused his power to change Florida law, like changing Florida's resign to run law, unacceptable. That's the kind of stuff that we would attack the left for.
You know, one of the things about that rule, you know, I ran for state house last year, and if I were sitting right now, one of the things that I would have noticed about that law is it's not, and this is actually kind of my argument, not just what's happening for a presidential election, but how it affects all of the people below that want to run for city council or county commission and all these other things. Like, we have a lot of people in the state, and they didn't change the rule. They only changed the rule for president. If you have a governor that wants to run for president, but you know, if they would have changed the resign to run law, which is a fantastic law, right now we would have a lot of state house reps who would run for Congress, then see their congressional race didn't, you know, pan out the way they wanted to, and then go right back into the state house. And
right.
It's very, very hard. And this is something I, you know, as somebody who leads young Republicans around the state of Florida, you have to. This keeps us from running. It keeps young people from running because we only run when there's an opening, right? Because we want to run against an incumbent. You know, we can talk about that for a little bit. Like, what's it like to run against an incumbent? A Republican Party, you know, how does McCarthy treat you? You know, I could talk about my experience about how the GOP treats me here, you know, whether I want to challenge somebody or not, or whether you want to challenge somebody or not. Like, talk a little bit about what it's like to challenge the establishment
right.
when you want to run.
Well, I think it's important for everybody to understand that just like Kevin McCarthy, right, controls all of the congressional races, whether or not you want to believe that, it is true, right? He controls the flow of money from the NRCC, okay, into these races. And if Kevin McCarthy doesn't want you in, they're going to find ways to subvert your race and to throw dark money at your race to try to subvert you, especially if you are challenging an incumbent like I did. And in your case, right, you ran for what, Florida House? And so Ron DeSantis controls the Florida GOP. People think, oh, it's Christian Ziegler, the chairman, or oh, it's Evan Power. No. The Florida GOP is still controlled by Governor Ron DeSantis, right? They try to pretend like, oh, he moved out of our office, even though we had 24 of his staffers on our payroll up until the time that he filed to run for president. He still controls it. And so, as you mentioned,
do you think that the how popular Ron DeSantis became in the state of Florida change the dynamic between the governor's office and like the Senate and everything? Because I mean,
it's not how popular he is. It's the fact that he acts like a dictator. He literally threatened the legislature, and it's on record. You have legislators and lobbyists on record in Florida who said, oh, we were basically propositioned by Ron DeSantis' official campaign staff and his official taxpayer-funded staff in his gubernatorial office in Tallahassee. And they said, hey, if you don't write a max-out donation check to Ron DeSantis, you're not going to get any access, and we're going to make sure your legislative efforts fail. There were articles written about and even confirmed by legislators. Look what they did to Joe Gruters. Joe Gruters was the only Republican representative who, in the state of Florida, who endorsed Donald Trump, and Ron DeSantis retaliated. How did he retaliate? Well, he represents Sarasota. Joe Gruters does. And so Ron DeSantis vetoed over $30 million of funds that were supposed to go towards projects to help improve the quality of life for residents of Sarasota as a form of retaliation against Joe Gruters. And Joe Gruters isn't the one that's going to be suffering. It's the people of Sarasota. So I don't think that that's effective leadership when you're literally threatening freshman lawmakers and saying, hey, be prepared to get a primary opponent when you run again if you don't endorse Ron DeSantis.
Well, one thing I'll say to that, we had Mike Belcher, State Rep Mike Belcher in here last month, and we had, I want to say 10 state reps or something like that did not endorse Ron DeSantis or so. So it was the vast majority of them, but it wasn't not quite all of them.
Well, he was the only one that came out like vocally in support of Donald Trump the way he did, and then he was punished.
But I guess my question was, in the past when we had Jeb Bush or we had Rick Scott and some of these other governors, we had Senate presidents who maybe could push back on them, or like maybe they didn't feel as if the governor was popular enough that if he could overpower them on an issue or anything. Like, do you think it's just the way that Ron DeSantis is style as governor, or do you think it has to do with just the mandate he feels as he has because of the election results?
Well, it's bribery is what it is. So I actually just did a story about this, and I wrote a story about how when Ron DeSantis had the $100 million left over, and it's all sourced, I'm not making this stuff up, you can see it. A lot of people don't want to talk about this because another thing that Ron DeSantis does is he threatens reporters. And this has been documented as well, where if you are a reporter and you push back on Ron DeSantis in the Florida media or the national press, and you hold his campaign accountable or question why they're doing certain things, you're blacklisted from his campaign events. There's tons of reporters. They got reporters fired for reporting on his presidential campaign. So when Ron DeSantis had this $100 million left over, okay, they changed the name of his PAC. It was called Friends of Ron DeSantis. It was a state entity. And one of the things that he did was he appointed in May of 2022 a guy by the name of Cord Byrd as the new Florida Secretary of State. And he quietly had Cord Byrd change the Florida election handbook with regards to how you're allowed to transfer funds between state entities like state PACs and federal PACs. And so what Ron DeSantis did is he deceptively had the name of his PAC, Friends of Ron DeSantis, changed to the Empower Parents PAC. And then Blazin Goglia, who's a state senator, okay, in the state of Florida, was listed as the chairman of the PAC. Then what they did is they quietly, right, days after the Florida legislature resigned to run, and they said that they passed the amendment, they quietly transferred $1 million to a brand new PAC that got propped up days later after this legislation was approved. And guess who operates the new PAC called Empower Parents Florida? You see the same exact name except with Florida at the end to try to confuse people about the flow of money. Paul Renner, the Florida Speaker of the House. And so when you say, oh, do you think that Ron DeSantis, it's just his strong leadership that gets the Senate president and the Florida Speaker of the House on board with him? No, it's bribery. If somebody comes to you and says, hey, you want $1 million, just make sure that the law's changed, right? So I think that there's a lot of bribery involved here. Ron DeSantis also appointed Senator, what's her name? Pasadomo. He appointed her daughter to the Utility Commission. Okay, so, hey, I'll give your daughter a position on the Utility Commission. Just do as I say. And a lot of people don't know this, right? They don't know all the wheeling and dealing that's taking place in the Florida legislature because, let's be honest, right? So for some people, state politics just isn't as sexy as all the national political drama. So you have all this bribery and corruption that's happening here, and I'm calling it out, and I get called a hater when I'm just trying to inform you of an abuse of power that's taking place right under your noses.
So to speak to that, and again, I'm kind of here just to play devil's advocate to this, so that there's some sort of back and forth on it.
Yeah, that's fine.
What I've heard from other people who talk about like this $1 million, like I said, the Paul Renner PAC and everything, is that this money is going to be spent for school board races, like all across the state and everything like that. And so you've got potential school board, conservative school board nominees that might benefit from this, and that this money is going to end up being used.
Well, they're liars, and I have the evidence I'll tell you why they're liars right now. So that's exactly what Goglia said. He goes, oh, we're going to transfer the $82.5 million that's left over, okay, in the PAC. They changed the name to Empower Parents PAC, the Ron DeSantis, Friends of Ron DeSantis PAC. That was $82.5 million that was raised from Trump supporters for the sake of getting Ron DeSantis reelected. They quietly have the Florida law changed so that you can transfer it to a federal entity. And then Goglia, okay, props up this fake website for the Empower Parents PAC. And they say, oh, we're going to help spread a message of parental rights, and we're going to help school board races, and yada, 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 yada. They literally transferred the $82.5 million to the Never Back Down Super PAC. And then they sent a letter the next day to the Florida Division of Elections asking them to shutter the PAC. So how shitty is that? Like, oh yeah, let's make it seem like we're going to protect parents and support parents, and then we're actually just going to transfer it to a federal race, and we're going to quietly end the PAC so that nobody knows, but we're going to keep the website active so that your average person really thinks that, wow, Ron is such a great guy. He just gave $82.5 million to support parents' rights. That's fraud. That is political and financial fraud.
So, I will say we must.
What do you think about that?
Well,
don't you think that's
so like
shady?
I said, I'm not.
They
really,
ended the PAC. It's not even in existence anymore.
Yeah,
it's a non-existent PAC.
I guess my opinion personally over this kind of stuff is that like I see money moving from PAC to PAC to PAC in all these different places, and every candidate does it. And I think that it's not a good thing, right? And I think that we've had bills here in Florida that have tried to stop it from happening. But they don't get passed, right? Because this is politics, right? Like you see it, I see it when somebody wants to run again from like their state house to Congress, or whatever, like that. Like,
yeah, but he lied. A big part of his platform is that he's some savior for parents, right? And that's his whole shtick. Like, oh, look at me, you know? I'm like Glenn Youngkin. I'm here to be the savior for your children. And then he says, okay, I'm going to give you guys $82.5 million because I'm so generous, and this money's going to go towards bolstering the parental rights movement. But it's actually being spent. They already transferred the money. All $82.5 million of it went to the Never Back Down Super PAC, which is now running. They just took out a 7-figure anti-Trump TV ad buy in the state of Iowa. They're spending millions of dollars. And then on top of it, he lied and said he raised $150 million through a joint fundraising effort through the PAC, the Never Back Down PAC, and the Ron DeSantis for President campaign. So they said, oh, DeSantis raised $20 million for his campaign. Oh, he raised so much more money than Trump because the PAC raised $130 million. Well, you didn't really raise $130 million on the PAC if you transferred $82.5 million from your gubernatorial PAC. That was money. Trump supporters trusted that you were going to use that money to further your agenda as governor, not to stab the man in the back who you owe your entire political career to.
Yeah. I think that when it comes to the point you made, that is what a lot of the Trump supporters really feel like, right? That this is a loyalty thing, that this is about going and stabbing somebody in the back. Like that's overall the ethos of, I think, what a lot of people feel.
But it's also corruption. It's not. Maybe you just take Trump out of it for a second,
well,
right?
Let's just say that he was to use the $1 million. Like I said, last election, we ended up having 30 or so school board members that were actually endorsed by Ron DeSantis, and we have never had a governor. This is actually something we talked about a lot during the last election, was that we never had a governor that actually came in and got themselves into the weeds of a school board race, where this was something that was totally ignored locally in all these different places. If that money does end up going towards another slew of 30 school board members that each get $5,000, they get a.
But it's not though. They already transferred all of it.
Would that be?
They transferred it. They already transferred the money. They didn't. They can't earmark it now. It's already been transferred.
How do you make this like a Jordan-LeBron conversation in the same side?
What do you mean? What do you mean? Like?
So I guess like we'll get into.
No, I'm just
Q&A
what
on
I'm
this.
trying to
But I guess,
say
like,
is that there's no hypotheticals. Listen, I'm not trying to be combative. I'm just saying there's no hypotheticals, right? Because it's not like, oh well, what if they decide to use the money? They ended the PAC. That's what I'm trying to say. The money is no longer in this Empower Parents PAC because they dissolved the entity. There's no such thing as the Empower Parents PAC anymore. It was a fraudulent front so that Ron DeSantis could take his name off of the Friends of Ron DeSantis PAC so that nobody would know that $82.5 million was transferred from the state entity, okay, over to a federal anti-Trump super PAC. And so we can talk about, well, what if he sends money? What if he does this? They've already blown through millions of dollars, and all of the money has been earmarked for the Never Back Down super PAC, which is now bankrolling in violation of election laws, the Ron DeSantis for President campaign, because he's not fiscally conservative, and he has blown through over 69% of his first quarter fundraising funds. So I would love to sit here and pontificate about, well, what if they decide to get involved in races and help out local candidates with, max donations? But they lied to you. They literally tried to get you, they psychologically manipulated you and said, oh, well, how nice of them to put the focus on parental rights because they're trying to mimic the Glenn Youngkin strategy of having this red wave that's catapulted by the parental rights movement. But it's all fraudulent. And if you follow the money trail, as I've laid out, with all the financial expenditure receipts and documentation, you will see the PAC doesn't even exist anymore. It was a front. It was a front to protect Ron DeSantis' name.
I think that I know that obviously you do this every day, right? And you are digging in probably more than anybody else in the country on some of like the reports and the FBC reports and all this other kind of stuff. I don't want to. I know we've got a big audience here, and I don't know how directly involved they are in this kind of into the weeds on Twitter every day. And so, can we talk? I know this is partially like as a surrogate to Donald Trump's campaign, right? Unless Donald Trump wants to come to one of our events, if he's watching, you're welcome to come out to one of our events. We'll host the whole gala for you if you want to come out. Same with DeSantis too. We'll host the whole gala.
You got to change your endorsement though.
We'll do a whole.
What about this? Like, what about, would you change it though?
One of the things I wanted to ask you though is to talk a little bit more about, I wanted you to talk a little bit more broadly about like some of the appeal to Donald Trump over DeSantis more than some of like the nuances of some of these
well, and that's why I think, that's why I was going to ask you when I tried grabbing the microphone, I was going to say, perhaps.
We got to share a microphone.
I know, we got to share. Listen, all I was going to say is that perhaps now that, the curtain, right, or the mask has been ripped off of Ron DeSantis, I mean, how many people or members of your club would be open to redoing the poll? Because I think a lot of people were duped into thinking that Ron DeSantis was somebody that he isn't. And I think that now that a lot of this information has come out, perhaps your club members would actually endorse Donald Trump over Ron DeSantis. That's a really big applause. That's a really loud applause.
It's actually something within our board we've talked about doing straw polls like along the way because things do change obviously.
Yeah.
I defend the decision that we made to do it at the very beginning of this election with everybody jumping in because I think again it brings attention to our club and I think it was the right thing to do. But the point is that we are going to probably be continuing to poll as we go throughout this entire thing. So it's something that we're going to.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, if you want to get attention. Tampa Bay Young Republicans rescinds endorsements of Governor Ron DeSantis. I think it would make national headlines.
Yeah, that's the goal here. We're just here to make national headlines. So, but like I said, what I do want to keep going on about is again, I want to continue to talk, broadly, like what is the argument, for Trump over DeSantis beyond just some of the things we've got into so far.
Well, I think that, look, President Donald Trump, okay, he had 4 years of proven effective policy making. And the fact of the matter is we can go through policies all night long, but I think that integrity matters. And I think that Donald Trump's, phrase, his catchphrase of promises made, promises kept is important. And Ron DeSantis promised to be governor for another 4 years. Okay, it was rather selfish of him to rob another politically minded, aspirational Republican of the opportunity to run for governor of Florida if he, in fact, didn't want to be a full-time governor. He's never even here anymore, okay? And so we're coming up on hurricane season. I know here in Tampa, you have the highest inflation in the state of Florida. Tampa has the highest inflation of any city in the state of Florida, and it's the highest inflation out of any city in the entire country. So it's very expensive, and we have a housing market and insurance crisis here. And I think that the fact that Governor Ron DeSantis is willing to completely abandon the needs, okay, and the concerns of the people that he took an oath to represent is all the evidence in the world that you need for us to, as to why he's not ready for prime time, why he is not, I guess, fit, right, to, I don't even think run for president ever, not even in 2028, because you really have been able to see this man's true character. And so I'm happy to answer questions about Donald Trump's policies all night long, but the fact of the matter is majority of Americans in this country across party lines believe that the 2020 election was stolen or somehow fraudulent. Over 70% of Americans. And so given that we now know that the election was fraudulent, okay, we've seen the whistleblower testimony, we've seen congressional testimony from the big tech executives that show that the FBI had weekly briefings leading up to the 2020 election to censor information that otherwise polling indicates would have completely changed the results of the 2020 election. Donald Trump is entitled to the second term that was stolen from him. He is. Because if we are a country that is just going to roll over and make excuses for this illegitimate communist regime that is occupying the White House right now to steal our election and deprive us of the representation that we are entitled to and the representation that we voted for, then we are a failed country. We are a failed country. And I would say today that the American empire has collapsed. So 2024 is our last chance to prove the world whether or not Americans truly have a backbone, whether or not this great experiment is worth even preserving any longer. Because if we're not going to fight for election integrity, which is the most important issue facing our country and the entire world today, then I would say that we deserve to fail.
Sure. We're not going to have a lot of disagreement there. I mean, that's something that this organization actually came out in the state of Florida. We came out in 2020 or so. And as soon as the election was finished, we actually came out with an entire list of all the different things, the different changes that need to go back after the COVID laws have changed everything, the mass mail-in ballots, the Zuckerberg money, all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And we've got much better laws here. They didn't go into effect our last election, though, by the way. You know, we still had the mass mail-in ballots, the last one.
Yeah, we both got screwed. We both got screwed on mail-ins.
And so one of the things that I'll pose to you, because actually I haven't really heard too many people talk about this, you know, there's still, I have an entire thing called Voting Trust. It's a 501c4. We're trying to change the laws all over the country to get rid of all of the crazy COVID laws that still exist around here. About a third of the country has fixed them, but about maybe half the country has not. So I have very little faith that we're not going to see almost the exact same thing in a lot of these states that are the swing states and everything. If we don't get anything changed, like legally and all this ballot harvesting and all those other things we can talk about. But one of the things I think is interesting during this primary that we've almost like reverted to saying like, oh, they're going to take the election in 2024, but then we've got an entire primary, right? So I'm curious to get your thoughts on, you know, if we're talking about elections being stolen or any of that kind of stuff for 2024 in the general towards Biden, like what's your thoughts on a primary?
Yeah, well, they are trying to steal the primary election nomination from Donald Trump, the Florida GOP specifically. And as I've exclusively, I broke this story actually, Evan Power, who is the vice chair of the Florida GOP, did you know that he is married to Melissa Power, who is the CFO, the chief financial officer of the Ron DeSantis for President campaign? I mean, talk about a conflict of interest, okay? And then on top of that, the Republican Party of Florida just changed their rules to make it so that if you don't sign a loyalty oath, you can't even be on the ballot in the state of Florida. So that's election interference. That's a way that they're trying to steal the nomination from Donald Trump, is through last-minute rule changes and procedural gimmicks. You saw this in California. I don't know if any of you saw my expose 2 weeks ago on the California GOP. They were literally trying to have a secret meeting, okay, to change California's winner-take-all delegation process for the process of awarding delegates in the GOP primary in California, which is always winner-take-all, to make it proportional. So that even if you won the California GOP primary, like piece of hair on my mouth or something weird. Even if you won the California GOP primary, There's 169 delegates in California, which is the most delegates out of any state in the country, right? So California, believe it or not, plays a really big role in deciding who the GOP nominee is on the floor of the convention, right? When the RNC has their convention. And they were trying to make it so that even if you were to win, right, majority, you would still have to give the second place person, in this case, Ron DeSantis, right? If we're looking at national poll trends right now, nearly 50 to 60 of the delegates. And that's a way, okay, to compromise for the fact that Ron DeSantis, they know, is not going to be able to win states like Iowa. He's not going to be able to win states like New Hampshire. And so just like we saw the strategy in 2016 at the convention, right, where Ken Cuccinelli and all these never-Trumpers and Ted Cruzers tried to have a brokered convention where they had a delegate heist on the floor of the convention, it's the same people. Why do you think Ron DeSantis hired all of Ted Cruz's former, like his entire campaign apparatus from 2015, 2016, which Ken Cuccinelli was a part of? Because when he keeps saying, oh, we have a plan, we have a plan. Well, look, dude, you're burning through all your money and you're at 17% in the polls nationally. And Donald Trump is like 40 points ahead of you and you're just crashing every single day. What's your plan? And we figured it out. It's these last-minute rule changes and procedural gimmicks. If Donald Trump is not able to be on the ballot in Florida, he can kiss the GOP nomination goodbye. So we need to hold the Florida GOP accountable because they're literally trying to rig this election.
You know, that's something that you know. I know you and Evan Powers have gone back and forth about this on Twitter, and Christian Ziegler and these guys.
Because he's a liar. They're dishonest.
But so you know, one of the things that
you have to admit it's a conflict of interest.
But do you think,
how do you? Let me just ask you though, really quick. How do you? No, but listen. But like, I'm tired of people saying that I'm a bad person and that I'm crazy for pointing out common sense. Okay, so if you were on jury selection, okay, think about it. If you were to have a trial, you go through jury selection, and if you have a conflict of interest, right, you can't be on the jury. So what makes Evan Power think that he can be a neutral participant in overseeing the Florida GOP primary when his wife is literally getting paid by the Ron DeSantis for President campaign?
So
I mean, is that unreasonable?
As far as like changing the rules and everything goes, I mean, like I think that this has been something that's been, you know, if I join the REC, which I'm part of the REC, you have to take the loyalty oath to the Republican Party, and then the argument is that like you don't want to get somebody on the stage in the debate when we have the Sunshine State Summit, and they use that platform to run as an independent.
Yes, we do want that. We do want that.
Well, maybe you and I.
We do. Punching right is good for our party because it's not the Democrats that are the problem in this country. It's feckless rhinos, okay, who have subverted the Republican Party. Infighting is good for the Republican Party. Punching right is good for the Republican Party because if we don't start calling out our own and we don't start having higher standards for all of these rhinos who are essentially Democrats with an R next to their name on the ballot, then yeah, you complain about the uniparty. Guess what? You get what you vote for. And if you're not willing to shake things up and have a little controversy, then, you know, you only have yourself to blame. And so I think that loyalty oath, taking an oath to a party, I mean, what happens if you find out that a nominee has child porn on their laptop, and then they say, oh, you have to take an oath to support this person because they're our nominee? No, I'm not voting for anybody who I don't support. I am only supporting Donald Trump, and I'm proudly an only Trumper voter. And I have publicly said that I will campaign against Ron DeSantis if he is the nominee. Because I'm not going to be told by the feckless, corrupt Republican Party that did nothing when Donald Trump was deplatformed, that did nothing when I was deplatformed in the state of Florida, that did nothing to fight back against the stolen election, who I'm going to vote for. I will vote for whoever I want to vote for, and all of you should vote for whoever you want to vote for. Loyalty oaths and the Reagan rule, this 11th commandment of never speak ill of another Republican, needs to be put in the shredder on full speed.
I will agree with you. I think it's perfectly fine to talk ill about other Republicans. That's kind of, again, part of the.
It's my favorite hobby. It's my favorite hobby. It is.
I know, and I think that this
I would be a gold medalist if punching right was an Olympic sport.
Yeah,
I
do think it's good to have these conversations within the primary and do all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I do think that when it comes to loyalty oaths and like all of this kind of stuff, again, like this is something that we do as a party, because what I don't want to see is I know that you feel a certain way about Ron DeSantis, but ultimately when this primary is over, I think this is where you and I will disagree. I think the most is that we should be getting behind whoever the Republican nominee is, because if the alternative is Biden, I will vote for. I don't know everybody that's in the race, but just about everybody else in the Republican Party, I will take Ron DeSantis over him. I will take Vivek over him. I will take all these different people over him, because I don't want another round of Biden and the communist regime that you're talking about there. And so that's kind of where I think where I come from.
But that's exactly what we're going to have, because if we allow for them to deprive Donald Trump of the nomination, we are then signing off our seal of approval for a rigged election. So I am not going to vote in the 2024 general election unless Donald Trump is the nominee. And I am. That might seem like an extreme standpoint to have, but I just cannot. It's just a matter of principle for me. I cannot allow for a stolen election to be forgotten, right? To be forgotten, because if we allow them to get away with what they did to Donald Trump, they are going to do it to all of us. And 2024, above anything else, is about retribution, okay? It is about reclaiming what was taken from us, and it is about restoring our power structure as we, the people in the United States of America. And as Donald Trump says, the only thing standing between us and them is Donald Trump. It's Donald Trump. So, honestly, I view every single GOP candidate who's running against Donald Trump as a Democrat, because if you're not willing to take a stand against the weaponization of government against Donald Trump, when everybody knows the election was stolen, everybody knows that it's a witch hunt, everybody knows that it's an abuse of power and a two-tier justice system and a banana republic, then you're a Democrat. Because when Ron DeSantis talks about, we're going to go after the weaponization of government, but his entire political strategy for winning the 2024 GOP nomination is, Donald Trump's going to be indicted and go to jail, and then the pathway is going to be cleared. That's a coward. That is what you call a coward. I'm just really passionate about this because I just love Donald Trump so much, and I just feel it's not just about Donald Trump, it's about all of us. And maybe it's because I have been targeted the same way that Donald Trump has. And literally, like, the same judges who went after Donald Trump have gone after me politically. I just feel like it's a personal attack on me, Like, I feel personally victimized by Ron DeSantis, by him running against Donald Trump, because I feel like it's an affront on election integrity, and I feel like it's an affront on all of the Americans, the 81 million Americans who had their votes defiled and robbed. It's just such a slap in the face, and I don't know, I just feel so passionate about it, because so many people feel hopeless. And Donald Trump gives me hope. And Donald Trump is the only thing that is going to give so many people in this country who are feeling a sense of hopelessness a purpose, right, for their future. And I really do. I know it sounds overdramatic, but I think 2024 is it. I think we really are a failed empire if Donald Trump doesn't get back in. And even then, he's only going to be able to buy us a little bit more time, because our society has a cancer, okay? It is like it's like necrosis, and we are rotting from within. We have societal decay, okay? And it has permeated and infiltrated every single institution in our country, especially our elections. And if we're not going to have much more time left in this country, then I want to enjoy it with somebody like Donald Trump as our leader for the time that we have.
I think something that we can agree on is, I think one of the biggest missteps of Ron DeSantis' campaign has been the fact that they have not been out, campaigning and protesting when he's getting indicted, and not standing behind Donald Trump during that time. I think that that's something that's a huge miscalculation by their campaign and all the other campaigns as well. Because, like you said, if it happens to Donald Trump, why do you think it's not going to happen to you? Why are we not investing all this money into changing the laws, into doing all of these different things that we can actually win an election when it comes to 2024, no matter who the candidate is? And so now I know we've got.
And that's why it's so egregious.
Some fun here, but I do want to open it up to questions.
Yeah,
now,
definitely.
I know that you got all kinds of things. So if we have a question, anyone wants to kick it off, and it has to be. Have you become a member yet?
I have a question. So, do you follow Tori on Twitter or her blogger? Tori, Tori?
T-O-R-E?
Yeah, she talks about all this stuff. Because my partner, he watches her all the time.
Yeah.
That's kind of like just like you. So I thought you might know.
Yeah, I know Tori.
Yeah. So I just wanted to know if you
Yeah.
follow her.
I've known her for several years.
Okay, 'cause
Mhm.
she speaks the truth, and she was blocked for so many platforms for a long time. She was on Rumble or whatever, and she was blocked. She would be blocked. She couldn't like.
Yeah,
say
I
anything.
yeah. Now she has a
Yes.
radio show. Yeah.
Yes. So I was just like, it's kind of, people,
Yeah, I've known her.
They always get blocked, and because they tell the truth.
I've known her, I think, since 2017 or so.
Okay.
Do a question back there, Lynn.
Yeah. Did you ever try writing under like a ghostwriter or a name?
Did I ever try writing under a ghost name? So, on social media? No, so it was kind of tricky for me because, I'm involved in litigation. So I have an active RICO case right now against Twitter and Facebook, and I had a case against Twitter, Facebook, Google, and Apple that actually went all the way to the Supreme Court. And so during that time, of course, I wasn't able to have any fake accounts, and not that I ever had any fake accounts, but the cancel culture environment is very prevalent, I guess you could say, in the right wing movement. And even though I approached certain conservative networks and I said, hey, I could write under a ghost name if your issue is just the association with me, some of them were just so terrified of anyone ever finding out that they said no. So it was very difficult because I really wasn't able, and Ed's laughing in the back because he knows I've known Ed for years, and he's helping me out, part of my production team. And people that you would think are people that preach every single day about, oh, I'm so against cancel culture, right? They're scared. They're scared of the mob coming from them. And that's the problem, right? Is you have so many people in conning, because I like to say that, talk about how they're so anti-cancel culture. But I would say that I think I've been canceled more by the right than the left. Sure, the left, they banned me on social media, but Republicans didn't even speak up for me when I ran for Congress and I was an official America First candidate on the ballot. They didn't even fight for me. The Republican Party of Florida, when I won my election in 2020, and I was on the general election ballot, they called every single candidate who had won their primary to thank them and see how they could support them, except for me.
Do you wonder if your sound bites are perhaps misconstrued?
Well, I think that they lied about me, right? When they said that I was some anti-Muslim, neo-Nazi, white supremacist, right? That didn't help. It doesn't help that my Wikipedia page reads worse than most serial killers. I mean, really, there are serial killers with fan clubs. At least serial killers get nice fan mail, They get nice fan mail in jail. People just write some, but, they have fan clubs that come and protest for them, and yeah, some people have, written me nice fan mail and all, but it would have been nice to have some diehard stands when I was running for Congress who would have, protested. And there were some people, like I said, there were tons of volunteers who, of course, stood up for me and voters that expressed support, but I can't really think of many people in the actual official Republican Party apparatus. And there are misconceptions about me because they believe lies. They think I'm a Nazi, even though I'm Jewish. They think I'm anti-Muslim. Look, being against Sharia and calling for equal human rights and being against the Islamification of our country doesn't make me a Muslim hater. I don't hate Muslims. I am against Islam because I think that Islam is incompatible with Western civilization, and tenets within Islam, are incompatible with Western civilization and the United States Constitution, which was derived from the Bible. And of course, when you have an ideology like Islam that is calling for literally the murder of non-Muslims, Christians, Jews, or anybody that doesn't want to submit or convert, that's incompatible. That's just incompatible with what we stand for as a society. And we should be able to have these conversations without having our entire lives destroyed.
I'm glad we're doing this on Rumble because we would have gotten canceled on YouTube.
Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things. And I ran for Congress for that reason because, it's sad when you see the Republican Party talk about how they care about free speech, but they won't even fight for a candidate that worked their ass off, and secured a spot on the ballot. Regardless of what they think about me, it's not about me. It's about allowing for the voters of Florida to have their fair decision, right? To have their fair choice. And that's why I now find myself working more against the Republican Party than the Democrats, because they're subversive. They're subversive to our America First freedom agenda.
I think we have a question over here. Oh. You got yours.
Hunter, Polk County Young Republicans. I got a question for you. We talk about punch and right, and how it can be beneficial, but it also can be divisive. So when you're saying that anybody who is running against Trump, essentially running as a Democrat, I find it very hard when everyone at Turning Point, for example, saw Vivek, all his numbers popped up, and to call Vivek a Democrat is not even a stretch, it's just, quite frankly, blasphemy.
Well,
So
yeah.
what I'm saying is, if we all want to vote for who we want to vote for,
Yeah.
and I'm not putting my name out for anybody at this point, but what I'm saying is, if we're going to vote for who we want to vote for, those candidates also have that same right to go and run. So why shouldn't we hear them? Why shouldn't
Yeah.
So the question was, the other candidates that are running, why shouldn't we both be able to hear them?
Yeah. Look, what I'm saying is that it's not that they're Democrats simply for running against Trump. What I'm saying is that if they're not going to speak out against the weaponization of government that's happening against Donald Trump, and they're going to simultaneously run against him, then they're no better than Democrats. And I've been very vocal in my admiration for Vivek. I actually interviewed him at the courthouse in front of the Miami courthouse where I organized the rally in support of President Trump. And I said, this is my problem with Ron DeSantis. And even Vivek said it too. I said, look, I don't think you're going to win, Vivek, but I think that it's admirable that you're out here because at least you're taking a stand. And I don't have a problem. If people want to run against Donald Trump, it's a free country. You can run in any election, but it's a problem, right? Ron DeSantis has issues because he's running against the man he owes his entire political career to. And his animosity, or maybe his thirst, right? His thirst and his desire for political power supersedes his desire for justice and equal application of the law. And so with Vivek, you have a guy who's ambitious, okay? He's almost a billionaire from my understanding. He's certainly got enough money to self-finance his campaign, but he has enough political integrity and he's put principle over politics, right? So he knows that, yeah, he's running against Donald Trump, who's technically his opponent, but at the same time, he's going to have the integrity to speak out against a weaponized government. So if you're not going to do that, then yeah, you're like a Democrat. That's all I'm trying to say, is that maybe I should have clarified it better, is if you're not going to speak out against the weaponization of government and simultaneously run, then you're no better than the Democrats. But everybody has a right to run, and I like Vivek. I've interviewed him, and
I'm very on record for hating Vivek. I think he's trying to be the NIH director so he can go and protect everybody from Pfizer and protect all of his investors. And I honestly think he's there as a big pharma shill, and I think that's actually the only reason he's running. But I'm not going to go.
No, I think it's valid to point out his big pharma. I'm not saying I vouch for all of his policies and his background in big pharma. What I'm saying though is that out of all the candidates who are running against Donald Trump, he's really the only one that had the balls to stand in front of the courthouse, in front of a predominantly pro-Trump
audience.
Exactly
what everybody should have been doing. I think that's a big mistake by all the other campaigns. But I'm going to keep moving over here. Danielle, you have a question for us? Do you want to? I'll give you a mic. So you...
So I just want to address your beef with Casey, or as you call her, Jill DeSantis.
Yeah, her real name. That's her real name, by the way.
Back in May, you had stated that she, quote, claims she had cancer, but you've never seen the medical records. And I know you followed it up by saying that you never said she faked it, that you just think it was grossly overstated. But by saying that she claims it, you kind of are alleging that you think she faked it. So I was just wondering what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah. So, first of all, I stand by everything that I said, and I don't apologize for any comments that I made. I don't care who it offends. I call her Jill because her maiden name is Jill Black. It's Jill Casey Black, and I'm going to call her by her real name, Jill DeSantis. And maybe she just doesn't like the fact that she shares the same name as Joe Biden's wife. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is technically everything I said is true. It's a claim. When you make a statement, it's a claim. And I have not seen her medical records. And so I don't really know if it was stage 4 cancer or not. I'm not saying that she faked her cancer, but I do find it to be rather distasteful to run political ads in an attempt to, what I say is an attempt to get sympathy votes. And I know I received a lot of heat for this. I'm not going to apologize for what I said. If people want to be offended with me, that's their problem, not mine. But the fact of the matter is your medical diagnosis should be between you and your doctor. And I don't really, if she doesn't currently have cancer, I don't understand why it needs to be brought up on the campaign trail unless it's like a political prop for the sake of, helping get female suburban wife votes for her husband's failing presidential campaign. It's distasteful. And I would say that if they're that focused on her health and they're that concerned about, her I'm not saying that, like, look, she seems to be fine now, right? She doesn't have cancer anymore. But if it's that big of an issue, then maybe he should have, weighed his priorities. He ran for governor, even though he always knew that he wasn't going to run or keep his second term. He wanted to be president. So why didn't Ron DeSantis stay home and take care of his wife who had cancer and not run for governor? It's not like he really wanted to do the job anyway. I mean, let's be honest. We have an absentee governor, right? So he could have run for president and taken care of his wife. But I don't know. I just think it's distasteful and gross to, try to use your cancer.
Next question.
Steve. So very base takes tonight, that's for sure.
Thanks.
My question to you is this. You said that most or a lot of your censorship comes from people on the right? Obviously, we've seen people like TPUSA leaders, platform conservatives like you, other conservatives too, like American First leaders and whatnot. My question is to you is who do we trust? And how do we gatekeep and prevent these people from taking over our institutions so that we're not having these conversations here today?
Yeah. Well, that's a really good question. And look, I mean, who people are going to trust depends on what their viewpoints are, because not everybody on the right has the same viewpoints, right? Not everybody would classify themselves as the same type of conservative, right? So I would say that I'm more of a nationalist, right, populist, constitutional conservative, whereas a lot of the people at TPUSA and in the establishment GOP class are more neoconservative, okay, and they fall into the uniparty category. And so I just encourage people to really seek out their own information and to try to meet people themselves and see all viewpoints before they just regurgitate things that are force-fed to them on Fox News. You definitely can't trust Fox News. You definitely can't trust any of the mainstream media. I like alternative media. I'm a journalist. I do my own research, but there's a lot of alternative media platforms now that are popping up as a result of this anti-censorship movement. And it's really up to everybody to seek out their own information. But because we live in a misinformation culture now, where it's so easy to just push information out, it's very important for people to verify that. So coming out tonight and listening to talks for yourself, or digging into reports, learn some investigative skills, right? It could be a hobby. You could also learn how to read these FEC reports, or do some investigative work on the side yourself, because even though the Republican Party sometimes tells you things, doesn't necessarily mean it's true. For example, the Republicans recently said, we defunded the 87,000 IRS agents, right? And that's parroted by all the right-wing networks because they don't want to piss off McCarthy or lose access to these certain congressional candidates. But it's not true. They didn't defund the 87,000 IRS agents, right? They didn't. Just like so much of what they say isn't true. And I think that the Republican Party is as much of a purveyor of fake news as the Democrat Party, and that's the crisis that we're living in today. We are really living in an information war, as Alex Jones would say, and it's up to all of us to resist the uniparty.
If your listeners that are online don't know, the last endorsement that we did before this one was just anybody but McCarthy and anybody but McConnell as well.
Something we can agree on.
So we did try our hardest. It didn't really mean anything during the arguments over there. But we have two more questions over here. I'm gonna come this way.
So I would say for most of us who are either split Trump or DeSantis, I don't think it's because we don't like either of them. I think we all think that they have good policies. It's more of a question as to who could probably win. And so my concern, and most of us think that there was some type of shenanigans in the last election. So my concern for Donald Trump is, what's his plan to make sure that it's not rigged again? So what would you say is his plan?
Right. Great question. Well, look, the Republican Party, I'll just be honest with you, this is more than just Donald Trump. After 2020, as I said in the very beginning of my, this back and forth that we're having here, they didn't do anything. They haven't filed a single lawsuit to address the stolen election. They haven't done anything to sue any of the big tech social media companies. So really, what has the Republican Party done? What has Ronna Romney done? What has Kevin McCarthy done? What has Mitch McConnell done? Absolutely nothing, right? And so it's pretty dismal when you think about it, because they really honestly haven't done anything to change the situations that we found ourselves in 2020 with all of this mail-in ballot fraud. And so really, ultimately, I think that now that everybody is like really hypersensitive to voter fraud, there's going to be people that are more aware, and they're more aware about the big tech social media censorship as well. But the fact of the matter is the Republican Party has dropped the ball, and that's not Donald Trump's fault. Donald Trump is a candidate just like Ron DeSantis is a candidate, or Vivek, or any of these other candidates, but the Republican Party apparatus is behind. They are behind, and we see this on a national level where, you know, we should have been having conversations about ballot harvesting techniques 2 years ago. Right? We should have been having conversations 2 years ago about who was going to be Speaker of the House as opposed to Kevin McCarthy. And when you have all these state GOPs, like I pointed out, changing the rules as well, and we still have pervasive tech censorship. I mean, look, Elon Musk purchased Twitter. That's great and all, but there's still the issue with Facebook and Instagram and all the payment processors and the search engine manipulation as well. Not much has changed. So, with regards to Donald Trump, the poll numbers show that he is skyrocketing every single time he faces another indictment. So this idea that, oh, well, he can't beat Biden because, you know, he has too many legal issues. Every single time Donald Trump is indicted or faced with another witch hunt or more legal shenanigans, he shoots up in the polls another 10 points. And I think that the more that they persecute him, the more the average American realizes, oh my God, if they can get away with doing this to Donald Trump, they can get away with doing it to me. And I think that we have to really capitalize off of that energy going into 2024, because it's something that independents, Democrats, people who are not political at all, Republicans can relate to. The feeling of what it's like to be targeted, what it's like to be victimized by the federal government. Everybody knows what it feels like to be trapped in a situation that is unfair. And we have to capitalize off of the spirit of retribution and injustice that all Americans are feeling. And that is a feeling and an emotion that transcends political lines.
Yeah, you touched on one thing, and I think is anecdotal story here, like, you know, running around the country trying to change voting laws. Something that one of the supervisor of elections said of a fairly prominent state to me, that every single election, they end up with 5 lawsuits, like 6 months before the election, from like the League of Women Voters and the Democrats and all some kind of stuff. And so, to exactly what your point is, it is the party's job, it is Ron McDaniel's job, and all these different people's job to be filing these lawsuits, because we're getting, again, like the supervisor of elections in all these states are going to get like 5, 10 lawsuits challenging the rules, challenging the ballots, challenging the mass mail-outs, challenging the Zuckerberg money, all this kind of stuff. And we're not doing like any of it. And from what I see, we don't have the apparatus to do it.
And I'll say too, you know, people always say, oh, you know, you're so far up Donald Trump's ass. You know, you never criticize him. Look, I'll say point blank tonight, I hate Kevin McCarthy. I can't stand Ronna Romney. And I was one of the most vocal opponents of Ronna Romney and the McLeadership, as I call it. And I don't like the fact that Donald Trump endorsed Kevin McCarthy and the fact that he endorsed Ronna Romney. I don't. And so just because I support Donald Trump doesn't mean that I agree with every single decision that he's made. But I do know that despite his flaws, and every single human being has flaws, nobody's perfect, every single human is a flawed individual. But despite Donald Trump's flaws, I know that he is the right man for the job. He is.
What do you do to drive trust in the party? Tell me how you use your platform to create trust in the party.
Trust in the party? Well, I think that people don't have trust in the party, which is another reason why, you know, the choice for Trump is so clear, right? That's the reason why Donald Trump is the only choice, as far as I'm concerned, for 2024, because he's a populist.
I agree, but the galvanization.
Yeah.
What do you do to galvanize?
Well, you have to drive home, right, the understanding that, yeah, the media likes to pit us all against each other, left and right, Democrat, Republican. But at the end of the day, aren't we all fighting the same thing? Aren't we all just Americans who are sick and tired of not being represented adequately? We're being screwed over by the uniparty. We all want term limits, okay? We all want adequate representation, but it seems like whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, these incumbent politicians are just screwing us over. And, you know, they're getting away with insider trading. And the only person that revitalized right, this spirit, this revolutionary spirit against the uniparty establishment in our country was Donald Trump and his populist message. And you see Bernie Sanders is similar, right? But they stole the nomination from Bernie Sanders in 2016 as well. And so Donald Trump is the leader of the Republican Party, okay? But Donald Trump is so much bigger than the Republican Party. And the thing that he did not do his first term that we absolutely need to make sure happens this second term when he is reinstated as the 47th president of the United States is we need to capitalize on his energy and his brand to do away with the uniparty structure. And I am an advocate for perhaps a third party, a stronger third party that is truly representative of the American people, or a hostile takeover, an America First hostile takeover of the Republican Party. Because that's what we need. We need a hostile takeover of the Republican Party.
I'm just trying to get to as many questions as I can, so if you guys can refrain from asking questions if you've already asked them, but I got one from Carrie over here.
Hey, what's up? So as fellow alumni of a previous organization, we know the power that a literal camera and a few seconds of footage can get. What are some either organizations and or fellow influencers that you know, it's what our former boss always said, that not everyone will get in the trenches, but we can donate and support those that are in the trenches. Aside from our former bosses and stuff like that, who are some of your favorite people that you would recommend some of us chip in $5 to a Judicial Watch or some of those type of guys? Who are your favorites?
I'll leave it at it if you want to add in any additional like Congress people that you like, or any Republican or any politicians at all that you do trust, you do like.
I don't know. I don't really like anybody. No, there's a few people I like. Honestly, I think Anna Paulina's doing a good job. I do.
Shout out to her.
I do. This is her district, right?
Well, not technically, but she is a TVYR.
You know, I was skeptical at first, but I am surprised. I'm surprised that, she opposed Kevin McCarthy. And I will say that what she did by censuring Adam Schiff was great. So, atta girl, right? Atta girl. I like Congressman Paul Gosar. Like I said, my list is pretty short. I really don't like a lot of people in Congress. I don't like a lot of politicians.
What about the journalists and everybody else, influencers?
Definitely James O'Keefe. Project Veritas had their coup, so now it's OMG Media. So I would support him. Roger Stone as well. I think InfoWars is great as well. There's a lot of independent content creators now, and the great part about it is you don't have to pay for cable. So if you're paying $85 a month for cable, if you were to chip in $5 per month instead of $85 per month, you could select so many content creators to support each month. You could support my work, my Substack, lauraloomer.substack.com. It's free, but you can sign up for a paid subscription, and you get all of your own content. And that way, you're able to pick and choose what you want to see online. But there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people to support out there, and I would just encourage people to explore. See what you like, and go online and read Substacks, and support who. I don't really like telling people what to do, but I will tell them, just go. Believe it or not, just go search it out yourself, right? Spend some time to really investigate who these people are.
I'll do one last question if we have one over here. Carly?
So, I know we kind of covered it, but how does Trump get reelected if we have a uniparty, people not willing to fight, we don't have election integrity, etc.?
Yeah. Look, these are all good questions, right? But she asked, for those of you who didn't hear, the question is, how does Trump get elected if we Trump? So they know what they're doing. But it's going to be up to us, really. We are going to have to be the driving force. We're going to have to be out here every single day making the case for Donald Trump. And a lot of people think I'm paid by the Trump campaign. I'm not. I drove up here on my own dime. I'm not getting paid to be here tonight, which is fine with me because I love Donald Trump dearly, and I'm happy to be here to make the case for him. But we all can be doing things like this, right? And it's going to take sacrifice. We all are going to have to get the message out and sift through the propaganda and make sure people understand that this is it. This is really it for our country. If you want to have a future for yourself, your children, your grandchildren, if you want to actually have a country that's
I mean, it's kind of a joke, right, to call ourselves a free country. We don't really have freedom in this country anymore, okay? We don't have freedom of association, no free and fair elections, no free speech, okay? So we are in a crisis. It's a constitutional crisis. And if people don't step up, then that's it. Take the camera, start calling out politicians, do what I do. That's why I say you gotta punch back, not physically, but politically speaking, of course. You have to push back, and sometimes that requires you to find yourself in uncomfortable situations, and you're not going to make a lot of friends. I'm not here to make friends. I'm not here to go to their stupid little, Florida GOP Christmas parties and hang out with them at their country clubs. I know they all hate me, and the feeling is mutual, trust me. But I'm here to fight for the American people and to sift through the truth, and that requires us to call out both sides of the aisle, not just the Democrats, because we are not going to be able to surpass the Democrats and take our country back and destroy this illegitimate regime unless we dismantle the corruption and take out the trash in our own party first.
Amen. Well, I appreciate all the questions we had tonight. We've probably gone about an hour and a half or so, so I know it's probably exhausting after a while. She's going to hang out and talk with you guys afterwards as well if you still have questions.
Yeah.
But I want you to also let everybody know where they can follow you, let everybody know where they can get information, everything, and about your book that we do have for sale as well, with t-shirts, things like that.
Yeah, so I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope I changed some of your minds about Donald Trump. I really do. I hope that after I gave you this information tonight, I hope that some of you who were preferring Ron DeSantis over Donald Trump either rescind your endorsement or have second thoughts now, right? And people can follow me now that I'm back on Twitter at Laura Loomer. You can follow me on Getter, Truth Social, Gab at Laura Loomer as well, and then my Substack, right? One way you can support my investigative journalism is subscribing. It's free, but you support my work by paying for a subscription if you want for $7 per month. But I make it free because I believe that everybody has a right to information, regardless of whether they can afford to pay. And I don't like the concept of paywall content, so people are happy they can upgrade. I also wrote a book. It's called Loomer: How I Became the Most Banned Woman in the World. I have some copies here. I'm selling them for $30. I can sign them. And if I run out, you can also get a copy on my website and I'll ship it to you, signed. And then if you're like me and you truly believe that Donald Trump did nothing wrong, you can get your own Donald Trump did nothing wrong t-shirt in the back as well. And that goes towards all those funds that I generate from selling those shirts go towards my pro-Trump activism. And I travel all over the country, as you've probably seen, confronting people, holding rallies, and doing investigative journalism. Yeah. But I want to say thank you for having the courage to invite me out.
I really appreciate you coming out. Like I said, there are a lot of people even within our own party who do not want you platformed, and they consider this platforming, even though it's your own live stream, but they consider this platforming, and so we want to make sure that we have an environment that's but I'm happy you came out. I'm glad we can have this conversation. You're welcome back anytime. The last thing I will plug is that if you are watching live on our stream, then get involved. If you're in Tampa, come to the Tampa Bay Young Republicans meeting. We meet once a month here at American Social, or wherever else we decide to meet, yachts, boats, whatever it is that we're doing that month. And then if you're somewhere else in the country, get involved with your Young Republicans Club, because a lot of people don't know that you might be in a rural area out in Idaho or something like that, right? And your club, you don't have a club out there and everything. But we took this organization from like 5 people in 2018. Now it's over 500. We're the second largest in the country. But I do appreciate anyone who's watching. Again, please get involved with your Young Republicans organizations. A lot of them are all over the country. Don't get one started if they don't have one. And then other than that, I do want to make an announcement. If you are taking video tonight, if you are taking photos, you've done anything like that, I'm posting social media, please tag us. Yeah. Please make sure you tag Laura, make sure you tag TBYR. We'll repost you. Tag us throughout the night. And then also, I think our bartender's back, so make sure you tip our bartender. You guys are allowed to stay as long as you want. We've got this place is open until 2 a.m. if you want to stay. So you guys are welcome anytime. And again, thank you, Laura. You'll be here to ask.
shout it out, but I can't hear a word you say. I'm talking loud, not saying much. I'm criticized, but how your bullets ricochet. Shoot me down, but I get up. I'm bulletproof, nothing to lose. Far away, ricochet. You take your aim. Far away. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. Cut me down, but it's you who have further to fall. Ghost town, haunted love. Raise your voice. Sticks and stones may break my bones. Talking loud, not saying much. I'm bulletproof, nothing to lose. Far away, ricochet. You take your aim. Far away. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. Stone heart, machine gun, firing at the ones who run. Stone heart, those bulletproof glass. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am You shout it out, but I can't hear a word you say. I'm talking loud, not saying much. I'm criticized, but how your bullets ricochet. Shoot me down, but I get up. I'm bulletproof, nothing to lose. Far away, ricochet. You take your aim. Far away. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. But